Hey, this is Ez from Spacegoat, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. Hi, there I am. I'm audible.
Awesome. I'm Bruce. That's my partner, Riina.
Hi, Riina. Hi, Bruce. How you going?
Good. Yourself?
Good. A little bit tired. It's 1 a.m. here. So.
Where are you at? You're in Australia?
Yeah.
Wow. You stayed up all just for this?
Just for this. Yep. On a school night and everything.
Wow. What's it like down there in Australia? Is it coming back to normal?
No, it's pretty fucked, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, we've just come out of a lockdown, but we're in and out of lockdown all the time at the moment. The vaccine protocols are all up to shit, and yeah, so we're a bit behind everyone now. We were ahead of the game, when everything sort of kicked off, and now we're kind of behind. So yeah, it's a bit challenging.
All right. Well, thank you for staying up and putting up with us. We can just jump right in if you want. I'll just ask the first one, Riina, and then we can take it from there. For those not familiar with Spacegoat, can you give us the 2-sentence boardroom pitch?
Sure. So we are an alt metal band from Australia. We've been together for 3 years, I think. And we have just released we're about to release our second EP. So yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Want to jump in, Riina? You want me to take it away?
Yeah, you go ahead. It's nice to meet you, though.
Likewise.
So the new single, Miasma, has been out for just a little bit of time now. What's been the reaction to it so far? Has it been pretty good?
Yeah, real good. More so than we expected, I think. What to put it, I guess, in a statistic kind of way, our last release, the most popular song off that release, only just hit 1,000 streams on Spotify, and that's been out for 2 years. Miasma's been out for 4 weeks, and it's just surpassed that. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably a minuscule amount of streams in the scheme of, what some bands do, but for us, that's a real win. So we're happy with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and you should never sort of compare yours, it's like the ball games are completely different, and it's good to just sort of be happy with the parameters that fit whoever's band it is, and just be happy with, conquer yourself. That's the point.
Pretty much. And that's sort of where we like to keep it as well. Like, we'll just try and better ourselves. We don't want to be up against anyone else or, anything like that. It's all just about making the songs bigger and better for us each time we take on a new project, basically.
What's it like?
Yeah,
sorry, Riina, go ahead.
Yeah, the stuff sounded really good, I have to say. It's really good stuff, and your vocals are really nice. You have a really nice tone of voice, and it fits the music perfectly. And so apparently you're singing about anxiety and your imposter syndrome. Can you go a little bit deeper on that?
Yeah, that's right. So this with all the songs off this release, and in this song in particular, I wanted to be more transparent with my lyrics than I have been in the past, which is a scary thing. Not hiding behind metaphors and that sort of thing. And I do suffer from anxiety, and I guess it's a pretty normal thing for creative people to feel the imposter syndrome kind of jam as well. And it was just to be honest, was what I picked as the strongest song that we've released from this EP. But when we took it into the studio and it sort of started to come to life, it was our producer who said, this is your single. And
Are you getting your book?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is, you know, it is putting yourself out there and exposing what I guess could be your flaws. But to me as well, being so honest about those sorts of things is also
Second, you still there?
I'm still here.
that
good.
has, since the song coming for sharing that. I don't feel alone. You know, it's a really cool feeling. I've never had that before. So it made being vulnerable worth it, worth the scariness.
How scary was it though? I mean, was it terrifying to put that stuff out there?
Yeah, and in fact, there were some lyric changes at the start because some of it was too obvious or too what's the word I'm looking for? Like pertained to specific events and people. So we just dialed that back a little bit, and the breakdown, I guess you call it the breakdown section. I actually wrote those lyrics when I was having a panic attack at the time, and I was sitting in bed and I thought I'm going to grab a pen and paper and I'm just going to write down all these negative thoughts that are spewing into my brain right now. I'm going to do something with this. I'm not going to let this one like overtake me. So I sat there and I just spewed it all out, and that's basically what became that bridge section of the song where I'm kind of rating myself with all the things that are like, I'm useless at this, I'm not good at that, you know, why haven't you done this? Which I think, like, to be honest, everyone has to have those sorts of thoughts come and go from time to time, I think. So I think that's why people have found that song really relatable. It's been received really well.
That's great. We talk a lot about mental health on this show with a lot of musicians, and we're always discussing, you know, how cathartic music is. Did you find that as well?
100%. We called the EP Catharsis for that exact reason.
Right.
I know it's probably not the most inventive title, but that's exactly what it was. So.
Do you find yourself getting emails and letters from people saying, "Hey, you connected with me and you changed my perspective," or it's great to see somebody, you know, in the same boat?
Yeah, definitely. It's only a new thing since this song has come about. And it's really quite humbling actually to have people reach out, and it feels like the song isn't just ours anymore, you know, like it's become the property of other people who have emotionally connected with it as we relate to the content, which is really cool.
Yeah. If I may go back to the anxiety, panic attack subjects, which are very familiar to me, also a co-sufferer of those amazing things. Yeah. So do you have any sort of like concrete tips or ways that you, if you feel like a panic attack coming, what do you do?
Yeah.
Can't write a time.
What was that? Sorry, I just lost you a little bit.
No worries. I was just making a joke saying that you can't really write a song every time, right?
Right.
No, no, that's right. Well, you know, I do ability now. I'm medicated for it. It's not like, you know, it doesn't affect my everyday world. I just take some anti-anxiety every morning. That's been a big help, you know, going to the doctor and actually getting like actually talking about that and saying, okay, it's not I think a lot of people put a shameful stigma around the need to have medication, and I get that it's not right for everybody, and then some meds can sort of muck with your perception of the real world as well, and make things difficult in that way. But for me, it's really helpful, you know, and changes in my life in terms of the people around me. I think that's a massive part of being able to control letting those things run away with you, because that's essentially what anxiety is it's like getting caught up in your own head and not being able to dial it back. And if you've got the wrong people around you, then it just becomes a disaster. So I've been a lot more selective in recent years about got around me, and that's helped a lot. And those people are super supportive, like my band for one. A lot of things changed for me for the positive when I joined this band, and it's sort of moved forward since then. So it is just, I guess, just the times when I have felt like, okay, it's coming on and I'm not, this is not going to be good, and it's maybe not going to be one that I can fully control my way out of. I just remove myself, where at all possible, remove yourself and just sit in a quiet space for a little bit. Let it come and let it go, and try and carry on that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just ride the wave, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
What else can you do, really, right?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's a super hard and fast way to combat it, and everyone's going to have their own techniques. I think, mindfulness and meditation and all that stuff's really good too. And just sometimes just not fighting it, sometimes just letting it let it run its course. Insomnia is another one that comes with it for me.
Yes.
And I'm just like, now when it happens, I'm just like, I'll just stay up until I'm tired. Eventually I will have to sleep.
Right.
So that's usually how they say that you should do it. That you're just going to make it worse by lying in bed awake
and getting frustrated.
Yeah, that there's not like a super quick fix to those. I was just reading an article where they've done like studies that for these like really quick fixes that are not meds, that is not like a horse tranquilizer that you eat to feel better. Yeah. You can apparently snap yourself out of it by like sinking your head into freezing cold water, for instance. Like really putting your whole head in there, and it'll just shock your body out of the panic reaction into something, that it just shifts your, what is it? Parasympathetic, can't say it in English.
Yep.
Like, the nervous systems. Yeah. That it just like reboots that and sort of puts you in like a square one mode, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, because your body is going into that fight or flight response, and that makes total sense.
Yeah. So let's do that.
We're all going to stick our heads in cold water.
Just have a bucket of ice water just on hand.
So I've got one more. Yeah. I've got one more along these lines, and we'll get back to Spacegoat. Sorry, we're pretty passionate about this whole mental health conversation, and we talk about it all the time. But why do you think creative people are more apt or more prone to these sorts of bouts of anxiety and insomnia? Or do you think it's, I guess the question is, why do you think that is? Because I think there's an outstanding number of people in the community that suffer from the same problem.
I do agree with you. I don't know if it's maybe just because creative people are a little bit more, they allow themselves to be a bit more sensitive to the world around them, and tend to be, I guess they tend to be a bit more in, I don't even know how I'm trying to explain it.
Right.
Like their headspace is slightly different. They're taking things in differently. Mm-hmm. And I think more sensitive people tend to be more people pleasers as well. And I find it's people that are people pleasing or worried about their image and stuff like that, that tend to be more anxious. Mm-hmm. And I guess creative people are putting themselves, whether it's and whether it's like music or it's visual arts or it's poetry or that sort of stuff, and it can be a struggle to have people on board with it, right. Like it's hard to be recognized for your work when in music the market's so saturated. You do have to face criticisms because not everyone's going to like what you're putting out there. So I guess it comes down to all sorts of things like that.
Okay.
That's not to say that non-creative people aren't subject to
No, I know, but I think there is
as well. But
I think there's some sort of correlation between creatives, whether it be musicians or artists or as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of connection. Anyway, let's go back to Spacegoat. What do you guys have planned? Sure. So if you're not able to get out and play shows, are you doing any sort of live streams or do you have shows planned?
Yeah, so we just did a single launch for Miasma, and we were so lucky because we got in a couple of days before a new lockdown kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a sellout, which was amazing because we hadn't been on stage in over 12 months. It was probably closer to 18 months, actually.
What was that like?
Oh, it was so good. It was like being home.
Yep.
Because like we are essentially a live band. Like that's where we flourish the most. We're mostly all extroverts, and we just love getting on stage, and so that was so good. And yeah, people hadn't seen us for a while. We had a new song, so it all was very buzzy. It was a great feeling.
Was it nervous? Were you nervous at all, or more so than normal because it's been so long?
Probably just a normal amount of nerves, which I think nervousness and excitement is the same emotion, and it just depends on where you direct it. Sometimes I think so. Yeah, definitely. Like it's just the normal pre-show jitters, but once you get up there and start going, it's
just like riding a bike.
It all rolls on from there. So yeah. We had a show that was supposed to play last weekend. A lockdown was announced, I think, the day before, and so we couldn't go ahead with that. So yeah, and there's one coming up 26th of August, which we're just keeping our fingers crossed that we might roll back out. Like it's stop start. It's very frustrating. So yeah.
That's what I hear. It's been wide open, and I've actually been able to go to a couple shows, and I don't know how long it's going to last. I think we're on route to the same thing as you guys are, but right now everything's wide open.
I think too, because it's quite seasonal, and like we're in winter at the moment, so that definitely doesn't help.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
So
are you guys going to do the route that most people are taking, like the new model, and do singles every so often or every month or 6 weeks, or are you going to do a full EP release?
We will do the full EP release. We've got another single coming out on the 2nd of September.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do the 2 singles and then release the rest of the EP in October. So we kind of just like drip feeding it a little bit, just because of, with the way the year is probably going to pan out, and getting to the studio was hard for us too, because we're in a regional area, and so the city was cut off from regional, so we couldn't get to the city to get into the studio. So that got put back a couple of times last year as well. So we want to kind of bleed this one out a little bit so that we're not in this position where we can't get into the studio to record more stuff. But hopefully that'll be happening again soon as well. Like I
think there's a new model too, though, right? For the music business, it's sort of reinvented itself. And I think it was going that way before the pandemic, but this sort of gave it the swift kick in the ass, where everybody's doing, a single and a single just to stay relevant and in the. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yep, totally. We actually did a conference call with a band coach prior to the pandemic, and she was basically pushing us in that direction for just do singles as well. So yeah, you're right. I definitely think it was heading that way before.
Yeah, I'm old school. I'm really old school, so I want the whole physical thing and sit down and listen to it. But I know people like my son; they just want the one single and get it on their iPods and go.
Yeah, well, I'm also old school, and I really get bugged when I discover a new band and I dig the shit out of their stuff, and I go search for them, and they've literally got one thing on Spotify, and I'm like, but I want more. Like, give me something else. Like, is this all you are? Like, because I mean, you know, some bands, and I think we're one of those bands where the songs don't all necessarily fit into the same pocket. So just because you like one song, the next one on the EP might not be your cup of tea. It's kind of fun to discover that, you know. So I definitely prefer to release, you know, an EP. We're not at album is probably out of our reach at this point in time, and I don't think we're still an up and coming band, so to me that's probably not a worthwhile venture yet. Hopefully we'll get to that point, but the EPs are working well for us at the moment. Like the last one was, you know, we did quite well with it, considering we had no idea what we were doing. We had no release strategy. We were just like kids just wanting to look at my new thing, and we just chucked it into the world and hoped it did okay. And it did okay. But so I'm hoping that we'll have even better success this time, because we've kind of got our shit together a little bit more, and we are in touch with people who know what's going on and can help us out. So
Riina? Anything?
I'm not. It's hard for me to now say anything because I had to ditch you guys for a moment.
It's all good. Life happens. Life happens.
I had to go here for a few days. Called Leipäjuusto, bread cheese was that dog's name, and the owner just came to get him. They were a little late. That thing was the most beautiful thing. Like this Romanian rescue that had like corgi and Jack Russell Terrier, which is basically all ears, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So I work at an animal shelter at my day job, so we see all those sorts of things.
Oh wow.
Cool.
That's a very cool job.
Bruce just adopted a dog called Loki because they just lost a family member.
Yeah.
A four-legged family member. So, oh my God, that's so cool. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just rescued. I've been a big rescue guy for 20 years or something, but this is my fourth rescue Great Dane.
Oh, cool.
This one's tiny. Usually we get them, they're like, I don't know, a year, 2, 3 years old, but this one was 5 months. He was found in a dumpster, but he's awesome.
Oh, yeah, Danes are great dogs.
My favorite. So chill.
Yeah, and like they're huge.
Very
and
chill.
who puts a dog in a dumpster? People.
Yeah, people suck.
Yeah, the things I've seen, that
I imagine
that's a whole other podcast, I reckon.
Right.
Do you think that, like, you know, your job helps your anxiety or makes it worse, or does it, you know, come and go? It depends on the day and the situation.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the situation, I think. I used to, so I'm a veterinary nurse at the shelter where I'm working now. I worked in general practice veterinary clinics for 16 years before that. So that was a hard gig. Like, you would think the shelter work would be harder because obviously you see neglect cases and they're homeless and all that sort of thing. But it's actually, it is less hard because we've got control of the animals. Once they're in our care, we can determine what happens with them, and the outcomes are largely very good. So it's quite rewarding.
That's
whereas good. In general practice vet, you're just battling with dickheads all of the time. Like, people that don't make the right, just don't want to spend the money on the animal, or it's just, like I said, that's a rabbit hole I won't go down. Veterinary medicine is it's a tough gig.
Well, that's all. Imagine. Yeah, that's all I had. I know we were all over the place today. Sorry, that's kind of where we end up. We just we have a little bit of a sketch usually, and then we just go with it. So hopefully that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, I will talk for hours and I'll just go off on tangents everywhere. So yeah, you need to rope me in.
No, at some point we did talk about Spacegoat for a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I by the way, I'm in a band.
Right. And if people want to find you online, can you drop your socials for us?
Yep. So we're Spacegoat Band on Twitter. We're space.goat.band on Facebook. You can find us on Bandcamp. We've got official website is just spacegoatband.com. Those are the main main areas, I reckon.
Right.
But if you just find us on one of them, we've got a link tree, and link tree is the magic thing that just links you to everything. So
Absolutely.
yeah, you'll find us all over the place there.
Riina, you got anything else?
No, just kudos on what you do musically and what you do for money,
Yes.
and just all the best for the band. And gonna repeat how much I loved your vocals. So keep doing a good job.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
Hope it was worth staying up till 1:34.
Oh, absolutely.
Be well.
Be well.
Thanks.
Please.
All right. Yeah. See ya. Bye.
Bye.